Hello and welcome, my friends. I hope you're healthy and everything is good about you. Today's lab is the last one. We will create a rectangle object, specify its weight and length. Lastly, we will check if it's square or not. Okay, first, let's open Visual Studio. And create a new project. A C++ language project. Empty. Project name. Let's name it as Lab 11. Doesn't matter. Okay, place solution and project in the same directory. I think it's more organized if we check this box. Okay, let's create our project. Okay, let's add some source files. Add new item. A C++ file, which is a main file. Okay. Another source file, which might be rectangle.cpp, and a header file as rectangle.h. By the way, this is another type of include guards, so I will not include the standard include guards in here. Okay, let's begin with main file. We are using IOStream using cout and cin objects. Maybe it should be to use cout and cin objects. So these two objects will be in the scope of the namespace std using namespace std. So in order to use rectangle.cpp, we should also include rectangle.h. We cannot include rectangle.h by using these smaller than, bigger than operators. It simply will not resolve the path. So in order to find rectangle.h, we are using these quotation marks. Okay, here is our main function. For compatibility concerns, this main function should return integer and take void or nothing. And since it has a return type as integer, it should return an integer. Return 0, maybe. And we will define rectangle objects as rectangle1, rectangle2, width 1.2 and length 3.4, and rect3 as width 5.5 and length is 5.5, so which makes it a square. Okay, And we want to set width and length of rect1 using rect1 dot set width, sorry, 1, and rect1 set length 1, sorry, 2 maybe. Since they are not defined, it underlined the rectangle keyword with red wavy line, and when we try to debug this code, it will give some errors. We also have area returning a float variable function, member function actually. Let's name this variable as rect2, sorry, area 2. And we will also have a parameter function returning float. And in order to learn the width and length of an object in a indirect way, we use width3 is equal to rect3 get width and length 3 get length. And we are wondering if an object is square or not. After setting width and length of rectangle 1, we will ask if it is square or not. Square 1 is equal to rect1 is square, member function. If it is true, it returns 1, and if it is false, it returns 0. Okay, then we are wondering that if rectangle 3 is a square or not. Don't forget, these are for creating objects. These are for setting width and length, and this for calculating the area, and this for calculating the perimeter, and this for learning the width, this for learning the length, this for checking if it is square or not. True or false. Then we should print the results if they are working properly or not. in order to write results, as we know, we are using cout object from iostream library, and it's belonged to the namespace std. It goes for cin also. By the way, there's no need for using cin in this project, so we can eliminate cin from this command line. We will first cout the area 2. Is equal to area 2 variable, and we are adding a new line character by using this and L object. So to use cout and L object, and which are belong to the namespace std. We will cout the parameter 3. We will cout the width 3. We will cout length 3. Then we will cout square 1. And square 3. Don't forget the semicolons, by the way. And also save it. Let's define these variables. They are all floats, and these two are boolean values. Okay, float area 2 perimeter 3 width 3 length 3. We set square 1, square 3 are booleans. So let's define them as booleans. Now I think we dealt with the main function. Everything seems okay. Now let's define the general structure of that rectangle class by writing its header file. Okay, we have a class rectangle. First, we should define its constructor function. It should have the same name with the class itself. Constructor member function rectangle has two parameters as double, which is initialized to maybe 1.0, doesn't matter, and the second parameter, which is a double one and initialized to 1.0. Semicolon. We have a weight function set width, which accepts a double parameter w for width, semicolon. We have a wait function set length, which accepts one parameter and it is double. Let's name it as L. And we have a double function named getWidth. This one accepts no parameters, however returns a value as double. And getLength parameter and area. These four accept void because we will say nothing to them. However, they returns double because we are asking them. Okay, one more. What was that? It was a square function. However, its return type is not double. It is actually float. Sorry. Boolean. And these all member functions are public because we are using them in our main file. Let's make them all public. Now, as you can see, it has connected the rectangle class to the main file using this include. Okay, these all were our public member functions or variables. Actually, we have no variables as public. What should be our private variables? The common duty of these private variables is provide the connection between these member functions. These member functions will commonly use two variables, which are double length and double width. So we don't want them to be user accessible. Let's check this out. rect1 dot we have area function, getLength function, getWidth, not the private ones, the public ones. If you make them or one of them public, we can access it. But we don't want them to be accessible. So we are making them private variables. Okay, I think we have done with the header file. We have generalized our class rectangle with two private variables and 8 public functions, member functions actually. And these two are member variables, as you know. Let's implement each function in the rectangle.cpp file. In order to provide the connection between the rectangle.cpp and rectangle.h, we should include rectangle.h. First of all, we should define our constructor function, which should has the same name with that class and with this member function. Okay, it is rectangle function accepting two variables as doubles. And this function is in the scope of rectangle class, so we put the class name in here and we will say this rectangle member constructor function is in the scope of rectangle class by including this operator. This is scope resolution operator, by the way. Okay, what does this constructor function do? It can maybe call two functions, as we know, setWidth and send w to this function. By the way, I've just mistaken. This is not rectangle. This is rectangle. Okay, now it's working. Both class name and the function name should match with the header file counterparts. So you cannot do that, or you cannot do that. They will simply mismatch. Okay, it's calling setWidth and setLength. It's sending W for setWidth and it is sending L for setLength. Okay, what about the remaining functions? It is setWidth function takes double W and what does it do? It simply assigns the variable it took to the private variable width in order to satisfy the connection. So width will equal to W. Okay, where does this function belong to? It belongs to rectangle class. Okay, what does it return? Nothing. By the way, the constructor function returns nothing also. However, you cannot specify a return type to a constructor. It's illegal. Okay, this is our constructor function. And this is our setWidth function. Okay, another function, setLength. It accepts another parameter. By the way, since it is another parameter definition, you can name it as you like. So, length will equal to the parameter this function accepts. Okay, so we will have getWidth function, get width, which accepts nothing. However, returns a double. What's the return value of it? It simply returns width, which is our private value. Okay, the another one is get length, and it returns length, which is our private value. Actually, private variable, not value. Okay, now we have perimeter function. Okay, it returns 2 times width plus length. Okay, so we have area function. It returns width times length. Last but not least, we have a Boolean function belongs to rectangle class named isSquare, takes nothing if width is equal to length. It returns 1. Yes, it is a square. If it is not, it returns 0. Let's count the number of lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Instead of making this mess, now I'm introducing a brand new operator. We call it ternary conditional operator, which is a simple question mark. Ternary conditional operator. It simply does the same job with question mark actually. How can we use it? Width is equal to length, right? Is it equal to width, right? I'm asking. If this condition is true, return 1. If not, return 0. I'm repeating. Width is equal to length, right? If it is true, return 1. If it is false, return 0. Okay. Why we call it ternary? Because it checks the condition, returns the true value or false value. And since this is a Boolean function, it should has a return, and we should return the result that we found in this line. Okay, now we are returning the result that we found in this line using return. Everything seems okay. Let's try to run our code. Let's check the results. Okay, the area of this rectangle 2 should be this times this, and perimeter of rectangle 3 should be this. Okay, the first object is not a square, it is 0. Then the third object is square, it is 1. Okay, that's all folks. Thanks for listening and watching. This was our last laboratory. If you have questions, just send an email. I wish you a healthy week. Take care and see you in the final exam. Goodbye, my friends.